Welcome. Good evening. It's Palm Sunday. Happy Palm Sunday. Wherever you're joining from, if you don't mind commenting in the chat where you're joining from, we're glad to have you on here today. What I'm going to do is I am going to spotlight my panelists who are going to be helping me today. And where do we have Keith? All right, Dr. Tiffany, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Hello.
Dr. Tiffany is a double board certified physician in family and lifestyle medicine. She'll be joining us today to assist. And Keith Newsom is out in Pensacola, Florida. Keith is a patient who suffered from multiple medical issues. You're gonna hear his story, his recovery, his comeback. And Keith, we're glad to have you on here. And let's see if there are any other people who we need to highlight on here today. Um, and Dr. Tiffany, is there anybody else that you want us to highlight, or we'll just wait?
Yeah, I don't have anybody raise
Okay.
their hand unless somebody comes in. I'll pay attention.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, welcome. Good evening. We're glad to have you guys tonight. And I'm going to give another couple of minutes at 7:02 for people to trickle in. Right at 7:02, we are going to begin our talk today. If you're joining us today for the very first time, this is the first time you're participating in one of this, please comment in the chat first time. We would like to recognize you if it's your first time you're here. Stephen Hill, first time. Stephen, welcome. Queen's iPhone, first time. Welcome. Stephen, where you joining from? Queen's iPhone, where you joining from?
I think that's Dr. Hill.
That's
I'm
Doctor
glad he's
Who?
on. That's a Dr. Hill. I'm glad he's made it on.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Emmeline. Emmeline is joining from Iowa, and it's her first time too. Emmeline, we're glad to have you. In under 1 minute from now, we'll be starting. Stephen Hill, Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Any other first timers? Um, Elizabeth is joining from Maryland, and Elizabeth is a first time. Well, thank you. And to all the other first timers on here, thank you. And it is 7:02, and we're going to go ahead and start. So. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Dieter. I'm a board certified internist in two fields. I'm a board certified internist as well as a pediatrician. And today I'm going to talk to us about the science of why we are sick. The science of why we are sick. So, I start by asking this simple question: why are we so sick today? And the answer is simpler than you think. We're sick today because we eat in ways that affect our body's natural biology. You see, food is supposed to be medicine, but for most of us, unfortunately, food is poison. We're eating in ways that have affected our body's natural biology, and there are two key systems at play here that have been affected. And those two key systems are how our body makes energy, number one, and how our gut functions, number two. These two things are the reasons why we are sick today. So I'm going to try to draw a relationship between them for you to see them easily. Let's start with how the body makes energy. Our body makes energy principally dependent on a hormone called insulin. Insulin is a very important hormone in the body. Can you guys see my screen? Yes? Okay. All right, wonderful. Um, Insulin is a very important hormone in the body. And the job of insulin is to It's not changing. Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Okay, how about that? Are we in business? Thumbs up? Okay, great. So, insulin is a very important hormone in the body because insulin is charged with securing the body's energy needs. And how does insulin do that? You see, every time that we eat, glucose is released in the blood after absorption of the calories takes place. And insulin's job is to mobilize that glucose out of the blood into the cell. So, glucose released into the blood, insulin's job, get it out of the blood into the cell. This is a cell, okay? When insulin gets the glucose out of the blood into the cell, there is a special organelle in our cell here called the mitochondria, which you may remember from your junior biology classes as being called the powerhouse of the cell. In the mitochondria, the glucose goes through a complex series of reactions in biochemistry called the electron transport chain. It's just passing it through this energy machine and results in the production of an energy molecule called ATP. Okay. And that is just an energy molecule that the body needs to pay for all of its activities. So that is how insulin secures the body's energy needs. And every cell in our body requires energy to function. The smallest entity of the body is a cell, which groups up to form tissues, which then form organs, which then form systems, which forms the whole human. And every single cellular entity requires energy to function. So insulin is very critical then because insulin helps to secure the body's energy needs. Now, when there is a breakdown in the process of insulin securing the body's energy needs, that breakdown we call insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is a breakdown in this natural process. Why do we develop insulin resistance? That we develop insulin resistance simply because in today's day and age, we are consuming about 35% more calories than our ancestors did. And so, what that is happening is that we are causing insulin to work 35% over time. It means that insulin has to do this job of mobilizing glucose into the cell 35% over time. If I had a job and my employer told me, Dr. Dieter, I'm going to expect you to work 35% overtime every day, I am going to get burned out. When I get burned out, my productivity is going to decrease and I could no longer perform at the same level. That is what is happening to insulin because we're inundating insulin with 35% more calories. Just to put it in context, our ancestors ate about our ancestors ate about a meal or a meal and a half a day. Today in the Western world, the average adult is eating about 11 times a day, grazing throughout the day. Another thing, just to put it in context, they say in a small can of a soda, you name your soda. There is more sugar in a simple can of a soda than you and I, our ancestors, would have consumed their whole life. And what that is doing is causing insulin to work too much. And insulin has gotten burned out from working too much, from doing this job over and over again, 35% over time. Now, I want to take you to the cellular level, down at the cellular level, for you to understand what is happening at the cellular level causing this breakdown. And there are two things happening at the cellular level when insulin is inundated with 35% calories to cause the breakdown. The very first thing is you're developing too much fat. That's the very first thing. And that then leads to the second thing, which is what I call too much insulin. So the first results in the second, too much insulin. And I'm going to explain to you how these two things at the cellular level are causing insulin resistance. You see, a cell is normally supposed to look like this. When we consume more calories than we're supposed to, the body doesn't know what to do with those calories. It takes those excess calories, converts those excess calories into fat, and it takes the fat and lumps it into the cell. Let me draw a replica of the cell. So it's going to lump that excess calories coming from chronic overnutrition. Uh, it convert it into fat and then lump it in this cell. This cell now becomes pregnant with fat. Okay, when the cell becomes pregnant with fat, it's a problem because when glucose is in the blood and insulin's job is to move that glucose into the cell, if insulin comes to this cell now and tells this cell, hey, I got glucose, I need you to take in so we could run that glucose through the energy factory to make energy. This fat laden cell tells insulin, no way. I got no room in the inn. I'm filled with fat that should not be here. If I open my doors to glucose, glucose is not going to have a place to lay its head. All the beds are taken. So the cell doesn't open its doors for glucose to come in, and rightfully so because it has no space. So if glucose cannot enter the cell, you cannot run it through the energy factory, you cannot make energy, you have a deficiency of energy, insulin resistance at the cellular level. So what then happens is that triggers the second issue to occur, too much insulin. How? You see, when glucose cannot enter this cell, which is fat laden, the glucose is going to accumulate in the blood. When that glucose accumulates in the blood, it is a trigger for the pancreas to produce too much insulin. You see, there's a one-to-one relationship between how much glucose we have in our blood and the concentration of and how much insulin the pancreas will produce. When glucose is high, the pancreas has to match the demand of glucose by producing enough insulin, a high amount of insulin. So because you now have an accumulation of glucose into the blood, the pancreas is now forced to produce too much insulin. And too much insulin, ladies and gentlemen, is no bueno. It's not good for the body. Remember how I described insulin as insulin being so important? Insulin was the CEO of the body. This as imagine a CEO that normally is supposed to run the body smoothly, run the company smoothly, and has been doing so just fine. And all of a sudden, the CEO comes to work one day and he's gone nuts. He's backing unreasonable demands to his employees, saying, you're going to do things my way or the highway. Coming to your desk, stamping his hand on your desk and like, I don't like the way you're doing this. Just he becomes a bully and a tyrant. If I had a boss like that, I'm going to lose my respect for that boss. And when you don't respect somebody, it's hard for you to do what they ask you to do. Dr. Tiffany, if you lose your respect for your boss, when he tells you to do something, you're not excited about doing it. So when insulin is running high, now too much, insulin is acting as a bully and a tyrant to the cell. It's supposed to be a humble CEO. It has become a bully and a tyrant. The cell loses its respect for insulin. And when the cell loses its respect for insulin, the cell is not excited to do what insulin asks the cell to do. What does insulin ask the cell to do? Open your door so I can let glucose in. The cell says, I don't respect that bully guy. The cell refuses to open its doors. When the cell refuses to open its doors, glucose cannot enter the cell. If glucose cannot enter the cell, you cannot run it through the energy factory to make energy. So that is how these two things, too much fat and too much insulin, cause insulin resistance at the cellular level. And what this does then, it provides an opportunity, a checkpoint one happening at the cellular level, and checkpoint two, that if we can address these issues at the cellular level, then we can reverse insulin resistance. And I'll get back to this shortly. But when you now have insulin resistance, you have a deficiency of energy that then causes you to have disease processes. I want you guys to understand that the simplest definition of a disease is a group of cells, tissues, organs, or system that has stopped functioning well because it lacks the energy it needs to function well. So insulin resistance is an energy deficiency. And you now start driving diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, Alzheimer's, migraine, heart disease, heart failure, erectile dysfunction, and the list goes on. So, how do we fix the insulin resistance problem? Well, we know that the problem occurred at the cellular level at this too. So why not go and address checkpoint one and checkpoint two at the cellular level? Because that's where the breakdown occur. And so I want to introduce to you a solution which just does just that. This is called the field grade system. Now, what's a field grade system? The field grade system is simply a nutraceutical product made up of two things. When we talk about a nutraceutical product, we're talking about a product that is made 100% from plants and has huge nutrition, huge therapeutic benefits that outweigh the nutritional benefits. And the certical in its name here means that it is standardized. Okay, there's a particular quantity, of the active phytonutrient in each of them. So these two products go to reverse insulin resistance. I want to talk to you how they each do. The very first product called Unamate, I have it here. That's what I'm drinking. It's made from a plant native to South America called the yerba mate plant. Now, this plant is very rich in a special phytonutrient called chlorogenic acid. Okay, chlorogenic acid has two properties that we're going to use those two properties to help reverse insulin resistance. The first property is that chlorogenic acid induces the body to produce its own GLP-1s. You guys may have heard about GLP-1s from the Ozempic, the Mounjaro, and what have you. What you may not know is that our body naturally produces this. So the second thing that this active ingredient had is that it causes fat burning, intrinsic fat burning. Now, let's talk about a GLP-1 property of this and how we can utilize it at the cellular level to reverse insulin resistance. Remember, I said that we consume 35% more calories and insulin has gotten burned out. Dr. Tiffany, if you get burned out from your job, the way you're going to recuperate from that burnout is if your employer gives you a period of rest, right? So insulin has been subject to 35% overtime work. Insulin has become, its efficiency has decreased, its productivity has decreased as an employee. So for insulin to recuperate from its burnout, we need to rest insulin. And the way we rest insulin is by not consuming calories, time restricted eating, another name, intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting or time restricted eating is a pattern where you're going to eat all your calories in a particular period and after you give your insulin a break. Now, I submit to you that we don't need to be eating 3 meals a day. Our ancestors ate a meal or a meal and a half a day. So what I submit to you to do is to adopt a discipline where you begin fasting for 16 hours. You reduce yourself to 2 meals a day to give your insulin a break from being inundated by too much work. Now, that's where the GLP-1 property of the active ingredient of the Unamate comes. There's also the 16 hours of fasting will mean that you drop breakfast as a meal and you only eat lunch and dinner, and after dinner, nothing else to eat or drink that is of caloric value until lunch the next day. You want to fast for 16 hours. So, there's some people who cannot fast for 16 hours without feeling like World War III is about to start. So the GLP-1 helps you to do that. So again, we want you to fast for 16 hours. So let's say, so you no longer eat breakfast. Breakfast becomes extinct. So um, let's say you have dinner at 7 p.m. and then after dinner, you go to bed at 10 and you wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. This is already 12 hours of fasting. What we want to do is we want to help you extend your fast by another 4 hours to 16 hours because the longer you're fasting, the longer insulin is resting from processing calories and then it could recuperate from its burnouts. So that's how the GLP-1 property of that does. So what do? I wake up in the morning, I make a bottle of this, and I just sip on it. And this, by just sipping on it, helps me to extend my fast for 4 hours without feeling hungry. When I'm doing that, my insulin is recuperating from being walked as a horse and has a better chance of becoming an effective employee again. The second property of the active ingredient in the Unimate, the chlorogenic acid, is that it causes intrinsic fat burning. Now, why is that important? If you remember, going back to the cellular level, the first way we developed insulin resistance at the cellular level was this cell that became pregnant with fat. And when insulin came and knocked at the door to tell the cell to take up glucose, the cell said, I'm not doing it. So if this has an intrinsic property of causing fat burning, what's going to happen that is that when you consume that, it's going to go burn the fat in this cell and cause that cell to return back to normal. When the cell returns back to normal, when insulin comes back and knocks at the door of this cell to tell this cell to take up glucose, the cell can no longer give this excuse that there's no room in the inn. So what happens is that the glucose that had accumulated in the blood can now enter the cell. When that enters the cell, the consequence is that the concentration of glucose in the blood is going to drop. When the concentration of glucose in the blood drops, a message is sent to the pancreas to say, hey, you don't have that much glucose in the blood anymore. Glucose is low. Remember one-to-one relationship between glucose and insulin? So when glucose concentration drops, the pancreas gets the memo, produce low insulin. The pancreas now goes to producing a low amount of insulin. And you know what a low amount of insulin is? It's like that CEO that had gone crazy, that had lost it. He comes back to earth. He comes to work one day. He calls an in-service, calls all his employees, and he's very humble. He realized that he's been a jerk of a boss for the last 3 months. He calls his employees by name and he apologizes to them. I'm sorry I wronged you. I'm sorry you've been a jerk. I'm sorry I said things or did things I should not have. When a boss humbles himself like that and asks for an apology, what's going to happen is his employees are touched by that apology. They forgive their boss and regain their respect back for their boss. If you respect somebody, you're going to go to bat for them like this. You translate that to the cell. When insulin is now running low, it's no longer being a bully on the playground. The cells regain their respect for insulin. And when insulin now tells the cell, open your doors so I could let glucose in so we could make energy, the cell says, I'll be happy to. So because of that, you're reversing checkpoint one and checkpoint two by doing that, reversing the insulin resistance at the cellular level. So that is what the Unimate does. The other thing in the product is a product called Balance. And what is Balance? Balance is simply fiber. And fiber is a very important but unfortunately underappreciated nutrient. It's very important in helping to reverse insulin resistance or to maintain insulin sensitivity. Now, Fiber, this product called Balance is made from fiber from 7 different plants. It's usually taken just before you eat a meal to buffer your glucose spikes. Now, when you consume the fiber product, fiber has the same mechanism at the cellular level in resolving checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, exactly the same. So, fiber, first of all, causes lipolysis, which causes this, and as a result, reverses checkpoint 2. Now, the other thing that fiber does is that fiber helps to bring down your glucose spike. See, what do I mean by that? If you and I ate a plate of rice, okay? Rice is very high in carbohydrates. If you and I ate a plate of rice and that's you, and you ate your plate of rice without fiber, your blood sugar will do this. And that blood sugar for you may be a blood sugar 160. If I know anything or two about fiber, consumed my plate of rice, but consume this fiber product first and ate the same quantity of rice that you ate, my blood sugar is going to do this. And that blood sugar for me may be a blood sugar of 80 because fiber helps to buffer a rise, cushions your blood. It's like a shock absorber to your blood sugar. And that is a good thing. Why? Because if you produce a blood sugar of 160, your pancreas is going to have to get on the phone and say, hey, 20 units of insulin. I want you to come to work today. We have 160 of glucose to move. If I only do 80, my pancreas will get on the phone and say, hey, 3 units of insulin. You got to come to work today. We have 80 units of insulin to move. Now, if your insulin is burned out from overworking, you don't want to be calling 20 units of insulin to come to work. You want to rest it. And that's what fiber does. Fiber helps you to rest your insulin. You want to be calling less insulin to work, so more is resting. The other way I want you to look at this is that fiber helps to keep your insulin to be humble. I want you to think about 20 units of insulin right here as the crazy CEO that the employees did not respect. And I want you to think about 3 units of insulin as the humble CEO that the employees respect. So that's what fiber does. Now, that is how these two products help to reverse insulin resistance. Let's talk about the second reason why we're sick, our gut. Going back to reason number 2 here, our gut, how it relates to why we're sick. You see, our guts function, our how our gut function depends on the population of bacteria in our gut. You see, our gut has a population of about 30 to 100 trillion bacteria. They have a special name called the microbiome. Right here, this is a depiction of that. And this gut bacteria help to maintain the health of the gut. You see, 50% of the bacteria that are in the gut are what we call bad bacteria, and the other 50% are what we call good bacteria. They live in this 50-50% proportion, which is important in maintaining the health of the gut. Now, there are numerous functions of the gut. I want to highlight one of them, which is to help to regulate our immune system. You may not know it, but 70% of the body's immune system resides in the gut. The other 30% of the immune system resides in the bone marrow, the lymph nodes, the lymphatics. And the gut is responsible for training the immune system. When the gut is healthy, it trains the immune system to do what it's supposed to do, protect you. When the gut is not healthy, it trains the immune system to become an ingrown terrorist, and it turns its back on you now, attacking you. Now, there is something we call gut imbalance, which is a scenario where the bad bacteria outnumber the good bacteria. You lose the 50-50% proportion. So the bad bacteria may increase in number to say 70%, and the good bacteria may decrease in number to say 30%. What causes gut imbalance? The shortage of food. Now, wait a minute. What do you mean by the shortage of food? You just told us some slides back that the reason we have insulin resistance is because we're consuming 35% more calories. Well, the particular shortage of food that I'm talking about here that causes gut imbalance is actually the shortage of fiber. Unfortunately, we are not consuming enough fiber, and every living organism needs nutrients. You see, these bacteria in the gut feed on fiber. A lion in the jungle needs nutrients. A bacteria in your gut is no different from its need for nutrients. And because our foods are so devoid of fiber today, there is a shortage. We are supposed to be consuming an average of 30 to 40 grams of fiber a day, man and woman, okay? But in the US, the average man and woman is taking in about 10 to 12 grams of fiber a day. Our ancestors had us big time. Our ancestors were taking in about 80 to 90 grams of fiber a day. So when you have that shortage of fiber, it sets into motion survival of the fetus. The bad and good bacteria put on gloves to dwell it out. And the bad bacteria, unfortunately, are the stronger bacteria. They win the fight. When they win the fight, what they do is they hoard the little fiber that is there to themselves, and then they reason and say, we don't have enough food for us, the bad guys and the good guys. So to keep a monopoly on this food, let's increase our army so we could keep a hold on this food. And when they do that, you have gut imbalance. When you have gut imbalance, it now compromises the functions of the gut. You start having diseases, which as a result of the gut not being able to perform its normal duties. Autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's, lupus, MS, celiac, because the gut has become an ingrown terrorist. There is now a very strong link of colon cancer and the deficiency of fiber. Listen up, if you're young, especially if you're in your 40s, colon cancer is now going up in younger and younger people, that the guidelines for screening for colon cancer have been revised, to go to 40, not 50. And one of the things is because of a deficiency of fiber, strongly linked to colon cancer. I want to highlight anxiety and depression because some of you may find it surprising to know that anxiety and depression are coming from the gut. But the biology makes sense. There is a hormone called serotonin, which is our happy hormone. That hormone maintains our mood and happiness. 90% of serotonin is produced in the gut. The other 10% is produced in the central nervous system, the brain. So when the gut is unhealthy and this factory can no longer produce its product, you're reliant on 10% to maintain mood and happiness, you have anxiety and depression. So knowing that now, how do you fix the gut imbalance problem? Well, the solution is simple. It was caused by deficiency of fiber. You just feed the gut fiber and you reverse the gut imbalance problem. And you can go back to the gut performing its functions as it is. Now, I will end by saying this. In as much as the reason we're sick today because of how our body makes energy and how our gut functions, there is now, luckily, an abundance of evidence that says that if we can go and fix the root cause, the insulin resistance, and fix the gut imbalance, these two things that cause a global energy deficiency, if we can fix that, then we could reverse the disease conditions and reclaim our health again. And I like giving the analogy of somebody driving a car that runs out of gas. I ran out of gas a couple of times in my adult life, as embarrassing as that may be. But one of the things that happens when your car runs out of gas, it's gonna stop. Newsflash, it will stop. So, but when your car stops when it's run out of gas, it doesn't stop because there's an intrinsic failure of the engine. It stops because it has run out of its energy source. When I went to the gas station the last time I ran out of gas and got a gallon of gas and walked back to my car on the side of the road and put gas back in it, it started again. I was never once apprehensive. Oh, I hope this car is gonna start. The thought didn't even cross my mind because I knew the problem was energy. I restored the energy. The car gives me that beautiful roaring engine sound again. It is so simple but so profound. We're sick for the simple reason that we have a global energy shortage coming from these two things. And if you can restore that energy shortage, just like that car starts again, you can reclaim your health again, your vitality again. And there's tens of people on this call today who are we experiencing vitality just by restoring those two broken things. And I want to make you this bold statement that if you suffer from any chronic medical condition today, it's most likely that that chronic medical condition is coming from those two root causes: insulin not working well and your gut. And the feel great system is a chance to help you reclaim your health again. I want to thank you for listening. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll hand it over to Dr. Tiffany to take it from here. Sorry about my voice today, guys.
Oh, your voice is fine. That was great, Dr. Dieter. And so if you thought that was a very helpful presentation, please share in the chat because he puts a lot of effort into that and does a great job every Sunday and Monday explaining this. And for those of you that don't know who I am a double board certified physician. For those of you that came on later in family and lifestyle medicine, and I ended up getting board certified in lifestyle medicine to go after the root causes of conditions because I want to see people, one, tackle these lifestyle changes and need less medication. So let me show you some of the pictures since I've been spotlighted. I was trying to kind of fill up some space. So now I'm back on. I can show you my screen. Let me show you my screen. Can you see the pictures, Dr. Dieter?
Yes, I could.
Okay, awesome. And so I like this picture here. This is Crystal. She's a nurse. Um, and I like to highlight when people are in healthcare because we're usually the ones that are a little harder to get to see, okay, look, there's actually something natural you can do on top of what you want to do with your lifestyle. And so Crystal was struggling with Hashimoto's, had a lot of leaky gut symptoms. And that's one of those conditions that aren't fully clear. Nobody fully understands that. And Dr. Dieter does a great job talking about our gut. But she started using the products. Her antibodies for her thyroid for Hashimoto's were above 2,000. They should be less than like 8. But after she'd been on them for a good 6 months or so, she was able to see those numbers come down to less than 8 and able to get off of 13 of her 15 medications. And so, like my intro said, I want to see people need less meds. And so I have a couple here who started using the products. One, hubby here on the left, type 2 diabetic. He ended up losing 110 pounds, was able to get his A1C down from 7.7 to 5.0. So that is a full reversal. Yeah, that is a real thing that happened there. And then his wife, Jackie, ended up losing 124 pounds and she has kept that off too. That was about, I want to say she's over a year with that weight off, but she also reversed her pre-diabetes. But of course, it is easier when you have somebody with you. And that's one of the things that happens when you do purchase the products is that you get connected. You get connected with the group, get connected with the group call. So there's as much interaction as you want to allow you to be successful. Now, this is a teenager dealing with acne. So you don't have to just have diabetes. You don't have to just have prediabetes. Like Dr. Dieter clearly said, there's so many conditions that are under this umbrella. This is a kid dealing with acne and he couldn't really get it to clear up. Well, he started using the products and for 6 months, totally different picture. Now, I know so many teens who would love that. The other part of when we incorporate fasting is that we don't have a lot of that flapping skin when we lose our weight. So Cody here ended up losing about 50 pounds, 60 pounds, but you don't see that flapping skin. You don't see that. He was able to improve his liver function as well. The fasting part of that, eating up some of that subcutaneous fat is the theory behind how that skin isn't flapping around. Now, Tanya, this is someone that I've come to meet, and she even has a better picture. I love how some of these pictures, I have people that look better than this. I mean, once you see Keith, you'll see how he looks better than his pictures because We're still evolving. We're still getting to our optimum health. And so Tanya, A1C from 10 to 5.6, getting off her diabetes meds, her blood pressure meds. But the big thing for me is not needing her oxygen tank every day. 24/7, she was carrying that around with her. And if you can picture that, picture how that is cumbersome, how that makes an impact on your life. Now she doesn't have to do that. How awesome is that? Catherine, actually, she's down 90 pounds. I really got to update some of these slides because these people keep changing on me, but also off 4 medications now. And so this is after a year too, at that. Ro, one of my friends that's in healthcare as well, A1C was above 14. And the reason why we say above 14 is because that's what her machine said. So she didn't really know the exact number. But when she started using the products, because she refused to get on the medications, even somebody in healthcare, she said, nope, I've got to be able to do this myself. And so she was able to get her A1C down to 5.9 out of the diabetes range. And that's my picture. And so, the reality is, as a physician, as many professional people, we put ourselves on the back burner. We don't take care of ourselves. We take care of everybody else. And so that starts to build up in stress sometimes. That starts to build up in things like depression and high blood pressure. I had all of that. I was on blood pressure medicine, type 2 diabetes medicine, felt like I was stressed all the time. But when I started using the products, my kids now say I'm in my hippie phase. I mean, anybody who pays any attention to me see me talk like a mile a minute because I am just this excited all the time, always on 10. Always on 10. But being able to get off of my blood pressure medicine was everything. Stop having my hot flashes. Stop having the migraines. Who wouldn't want that life? And I thought I was cute. Now, skin tags. Skin tags here. Okay, look. So people don't believe skin tags have anything to do with insulin resistance. There are studies for this. This isn't stuff we're making up. I mean, the Journal of the Dermatological Association actually had a study came out that says if you have more than 5 or 6 of these skin tags on your neck, under your arms, on your trunk, you're likely dealing with insulin resistance. And my friend here, she wanted to prove me wrong. So May 2nd, she took a picture and she started using the products. And June 24th, she took her second picture and said, okay, you're saying something here because she just swore she was the healthiest person I knew. But when this happened, then she wanted to believe me. And we're seeing not just her, but so many people. I have people call me that say, oh, yeah, that skin tag fell from under my arm. And I'm like, okay, a little TMI, but I love the fact that you're seeing results. And then, Jim, this is one of my friends too. A1C was 12.2. Got all the way down to 4.8. I think the last one is 5.2. But off blood pressure medicines, off his diabetes medicines, IBS, acid reflux, migraines, insomnia, and the big part of that, no more meds. Because, like I said, I'm about helping people need less meds. This is my vision, my goal. And our speaker here, Dr. Dieter, I like this black picture because one, I have so many people that are like, I can just do the lifestyle changes. Why is that not enough? Well, that's what Dr. Dieter was doing in that black picture. I mean, running, already doing intermittent fasting. I mean, he was doing all the things and had some great results. But this is him just after 2 months on the Fieldgray system too. And even the cholesterol coming down, the LDL, the total cholesterol. I like to say okay, think of the lifestyle changes as going into a fight as a fist fight. You both are just battling out with your fists. But when you add the Fieldgray system, it's like bringing a knife to the fist fight. It makes a difference. You don't want to be the one with the knife. I want to be the one with the knife. Okay. And then we have leaders that have started using these products and they're setting great examples for people like in their congregations. This is Pastor James, able to get off his CPAP machine, able to help with his blood pressure too, and just living his best life, looking like, he's aging backwards. And Dr. Dieter's dad. And this is what's fun is we get to see our family members get their lives back. A1C of 7.1 now to 6.4. And this was since August or so, Dr. Dieter,
Yeah,
right?
since August, yeah.
And then your twin sister, and she looks fabulous. And so I want to be clear. She looks fabulous in all 3 pictures. Okay. Okay. But what we care about is we do care about the visceral fat, which likes to show itself around the midsection. And as you can see in that white dress where she's posing and her smile is bigger, the smile gets bigger, each one, each picture. That is clearly where we're seeing her feeling her best health. And that's what's important. And then Keith, and we're going to get a chance to hear from Keith. And Keith has a remarkable story. And yes, we need to update his slide too, because if I'm not mistaken, it's over 100 pounds now that he's down, off 15 pills. I love this. And restored his hope. Now, Keith was one of those people who managed his conditions with a bucket of medications. This was his bucket. Okay. This isn't just a picture. This was his. This is what he had to take. So imagine being able to be free from all of this. Who wouldn't want that life? I mean, This is why I'm doing this. This is why I get excited. This is why I get on 10. So I'm so excited that we actually are able to hear from Keith in his own voice about his journey and where he was and how he's here and able to not need all those medications. And we have some more pictures. So we have some more pictures. So get ready. Anybody who's squeamish, I'm gonna throw some on the screen too. Hey Keith.
Hey, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Dieter, love watching you teach, brother.
Thank you.
I was type 2 diabetic for 25 years and didn't realize the gravity of that situation until about halfway through it when the meds started piling up and my health kept declining. And it came to a head in 2018 when I got started getting autoimmune diagnoses. I got one that was Guillain-Barré that destroyed my nervous system, left me unable to walk, uncontrollable swelling in my legs, wounds that wouldn't heal. And in November of 24, I went to my niece's wedding and developed the third foot ulcer I had. And but by the time we found it, which was right at the end of November of 24 and January of 25, being treated by my foot doctor, it went septic and took my life. And my daughter got the call a half an hour after I, I'm not real sure if I had passed away yet, but she got the phone call a half an hour after her gender reveal party that I wasn't going to make it. And I was in the hospital about 2.5 weeks, and I don't remember most of it. And I know at one point my kidneys had shut down. I had to get shocked back to life. I was gone for just under a minute. And when I came out of it, I couldn't walk. I had at-home therapy, at-home doctors. Um, I had my foot doctor put me in 2 months of hyperbaric chamber trying to heal my foot, and 2 months in a wound vac and a knee scooter so I could at least try and move around a little bit. And none of it helped, but it didn't get it to the finish line. It got it about halfway there. And once I started the protocol, I mean, I could have never expected these results, to be honest with you. Within 3 months, my foot wound was gone. You couldn't even tell it was ever there. And I was literally probably an inch away from losing that foot. I don't know if necessarily if there was talk about it, but I know my foot doctor was extremely concerned about it. And, my daughter and I were talking end of life stuff when I came out of the hospital. I didn't think I was going to be here today. I didn't think I was going to be here much longer. I didn't think I'd make it to Christmas, to be honest with you. And once I started the protocol, I found it in May, watched it for about 6 weeks, and doubted it. I didn't know what to think. I've tried so many different things over the years, and none of it's done anything. And my grandson was born on June 3rd. I started the protocol on my birthday, 2 weeks later, or 10 days later, 9 days later, actually. And the first day, energy was through the roof. I wasn't falling asleep after I ate. Day two, I was off all 108 units of my insulin, six injections a day. And I told my primary care doctor what I was doing. So we saw each other every couple weeks. And within the first 2 months, she was able to take me off 14 of my 15 medication. I was down 60 pounds. Inflammation was gone. I could finally sleep in a bed. And when I got to right before the 90-day mark, I had all my doctor's visits. My cardiologist, my AFib was gone. I didn't have to worry about it coming back. She took me off the last med that I had, the number 15, the blood pressure med. My eye doctor said he hadn't seen my eyes look this good in over 4 years. I'm no longer getting injections in my eyes. My foot doctor simply amazed. Because he saw it from start to finish. My pulmonologist, nothing to complain about. And at 90 days, I was off all 15 medication, 108 units of insulin. My blood pressure was normal. My labs were all spot on. And I was down 75 pounds, 10 inches on my waist. And after that, it went up from there. So far I've noticed my taste buds are different. My hair's growing faster.
Your hair is growing faster?
Yeah, I just cut it there, wise guy. And I'm now been on it just over 8 months. I'm down 97 pounds, 15 inches on my waist, and my A1C has gone from a 7.5 within the first 90 days. It went down to 5.4. Now it's a flat 5. I mean, I haven't felt this good and felt this young in easily 20 some years. My daughter and I aren't even talking about end of life stuff anymore. That's been sidelined. I've got all my meds packed up in that tote you saw. And I mean, it's truly been amazing. And my brother's using it to reboot he's a cancer survivor, and it's rebuilding his immune system. Everybody I love is pretty much is on this and doing very well with it. It truly, truly works. I never expected to get the results I got, but I didn't I didn't feel like I had an option. I was desperate. I didn't know what to do. I didn't see light at the end of that tunnel. I didn't realize that being diagnosed type 2 diabetic was basically a death sentence. And this right here has broken the end of that tunnel out. So I now have hope and light for the future, and I get to see my grandson grow up. I was just on the phone with him yesterday. My gosh, he's growing like a weed. But
Mhm.
it truly saved my life.
Yes, I love that. Your story touches me every time, Keith, right? Every time. Not just the pictures, but how you've actually reclaimed and taken back control of your life. Because the lifestyle changes. Everybody knows we need to do this, but we need help doing them. And now you said you were going to do something great, if I'm not mistaken. Aren't you going to be doing something hiking or something? Did I miss something? Tell me.
I'm I do quite a bit of hiking and walking, and coming from a place where I couldn't move and I was stuck basically in a chair, it I'm living life to the fullest now. I'm traveling this week, and I'm traveling next week, or no, in a month. And I mean it's crazy the amount of freedom of not having to lug that extra, basically an extra suitcase full of drugs. It just makes life so much easier. I'm doing all sorts of new things. I've been working out, something I haven't done in over 30 years. It's truly crazy. It's given me a second chance at life.
Yes. Somebody said they didn't see your foot wound. Can I show it again, Dr. Dieter?
Absolutely.
I
I
sent
thought
you an updated picture too from the other day where I went from a 4X shirt to an X or to a large.
Oh, you know what you did. I gotta update that.
I forgot to send that to you.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yes, yes, yes. So I re-put up the picture of his foot because this is
So
something.
so
Hmm.
yeah, that first picture was basically 6 weeks from when it started. The second picture is after hyperbaric chamber, wound vacs, and it got it about halfway there. And then I s- I started the protocol on June 12th of last year, and that's what my foot looks like now. And it was gone, and I've never seen it heal so fast. My doctor had never seen something heal that fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you know what? I was talking about you today to somebody, and you're feeling, you're getting some sensation back in the area where
Yes,
that
I
wound
have a
was.
pulse in
That's
my
huge.
feet again. I have a pulse. My neuropathy's gone.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
huge. That's huge. Oh yeah, and Jennifer put your picture in here, and I got that. Now you're wearing a large shirt. Look at you, Keith. Look at you. I love it. Yes, I gotta update my pictures here.
I've got a belt that'll wrap halfway, and that's attached to me. And it'll wrap almost all the way around me a second time.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
wow. Oh wow. That is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love it. I'm so happy I get to be a part of this, Dr. Dieter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. If there any if somebody else would like to share their story to us in the next 5 minutes, you can raise your hand and we could spotlight you and hear your own testimony. Keith, your story is a story of hope. Each time I hear this story, it's inspiring. It's a story of hope. We have Benita's hand, so I'm going to spotlight Benita and have her share her story. All right, Benita, here we go. Thank you for volunteering to share your story. Oh, yes, I need to. Yeah, yeah.
Benita,
Let's see.
hey.
I need to get you. I need to have her on mute. Let's see.
Hmm.
Ask to unmute. There we go. Can you?
I am on. Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Dieter. Hey, Dr.
Absolutely.
T. So I just wanted to come on. I'm a nurse, and it's been one of those years where I didn't know what I didn't know until I realized I didn't know it.
Mhm.
And one of the things is a friend came to me with all those perimenopausal symptoms, having hot flashes. I'm getting frustrated with all those sugar cravings. I don't understand why I have so much brain fog. Why am I so distracted? Why am I always so anxious? And they were living off of caffeine in the morning, wine at night, and it was just cycle and repeat. And this person's really busy in life trying to get a lot of things accomplished, like a really high end person that you see doing all the things right, running, eating right and healthy, growing their own fruits and vegetables, all the alls, right? And what the problem was that insulin. And I didn't know anything about insulin. So there was no way that I could help that person. And doing a deep dive, I was like trying to give them all the information I could. Maybe it's leptin. Maybe you should learn about those GLP-1s. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And when it came down to it was listening to two friends that invited me at the same time to learn about this product because that was my story. And I know that there's so many women out there that are running and trying to keep up with their kids. And it has been hard, especially for me since 2020, when the kids all came home and we had a pivot and all of that cortisol came flooding in. And we lived the lifestyle of get up in the morning with coffee and go to bed at night with wine. And so that friend was my internal voice begging for help. So if somebody invited you to this call, because they see that the pain you're going through, it's they're being your friend right now. And I am so grateful for Dr. Kenny saying yes to a friend that was doing this, who said yes to a friend who was doing this. And all of us are on such a beautiful team because we all know each other as friends first. And that's why we're able to plug in the way we do. And if you see us on TikTok and you plug in, you become our friends. And that's what I wanted to share tonight. So I'm so thankful to you, Dr. Dieter, and I'm so thankful to Dr. Tiffany and to Keith and to everyone else in our community that shares. And thank you for letting me share a little bit about my story because it has truly transformed my life and saved my husband's. And I don't want to ever stop sharing about the opportunity to reverse insulin's damage in our bodies. So thank you.
Thank you, Benita.
Thank you.
All right. Andrea, we're gonna let Andrea, we'll add
Ooh,
her to the
ooh,
spotlight
she's got a good story too.
and we will ask her to unmute. And Andrea, there you go.
Thank you, both of you. This was absolutely amazing. And I appreciate you all being so real and honest and sharing Because, like Benita said, if I wouldn't have seen this on social, I don't know where I would be because I was desperate in the health and wellness space, doing everything I knew to do, but I had these issues. And as I look back, I had started battling these issues in my 30s with ovarian cysts, PCOS, gestational diabetes, thyroid issues. It was just like this roller coaster. Nothing would work. I would get it under control for a little bit and then something would knock the legs out from under me. There was nothing that was sustainable. Hormone issues as I went into menopause, different things like that. Then found this system, everything seemed to balance. 40 pounds down, 15 inches gone, foot injury healed. I had no idea that it would even do that. Didn't understand sugar, inflammation, the role that they play together. Vision now 2020. But when I think about Keith and him sharing, and this has become my big why. My dad, at 81 years old, took him to the podiatrist to get his toenails worked on. I had no idea he had a wound on his toe. The first thing the podiatrist said is, he's got a wound to the bone. He's scraping it out. We got to remove the toe within 2 weeks. My dad's 81, and I'm thinking, this will take him downhill. His A1C was 4.8. It was normal. He had all of the signs of insulin resistance. He still loved his bowls of cereal, 3 in the morning, first thing getting up, that's what he would eat. Overload of sugar, like 72 teaspoons of sugar is what he was getting every day. And looked at that podiatrist and I asked, can we do a fasting insulin? He couldn't even write for the script, guys. He couldn't even run that test. He's like, oh, it's not in my system. I'm like, we can't schedule this. We've got to make some changes diet-wise because I've heard Keith's story. I heard John's story. I know we can change this. I know the body wants to heal. Long story short, brought dad home, said, hey, you don't have a choice. He had no pulse in that foot. He could not feel that doctor cleaning out that wound, taking it to the bone. We had no clue. Long story short, within 3 months, his toe completely healed. Goes back every time he would go back to the doctor every 2 weeks. Nurse was coming in 3 times a week. He was starting to get more and more feeling. He now has a complete pulse. He has saved his toe and he's 80 years old and he's not even doing the system right. I don't recommend that. You want to see the real results? It's so easy. But you know what? That just tells me how resilient our body is. So give your body that opportunity. If you're on here as a guest, you don't know what your body can do. So thank you, Dr. Dieter, Dr. Tiffany, Keith, Benita. And we have a community. We're here to help and support each other. So thank you guys for sharing the way you do and teaching us how our body is so brilliantly made. I so appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that. Didn't know that about her dad's foot. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm glad to hear this. I think every now and then we're just gonna popcorn and have people share testimonies because it just brings to light things we don't know and it makes us invigorated. This is why we want to continue doing this. So, Andrea, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to say one or two more things, and then and Dr. Tiffany, I'm going to hand it over to you to close. We are thankful that you shared your evening with us here tonight, and our desire is to impact as many lives as possible. It is our desire that this year, through our organization, we want to impact the lives of at least 100,000 people. And so we are spreading a message of hope. There's so many people suffering with illnesses and don't know that their illnesses have a simple answer. And you could be that light. You could be an instrument of hope to your neighbor, to your coworker, to your friend, to your brother, to your sister, you name it. So if you heard this today and something moved you that you want to take action for your own health and for the health of your family, get with whoever invited you today. They can get you started on your journey to health or help whoever you need to start on their journey to health. And we're always looking for people to help us in this message of hope. There are so many, I will use a biblical term. The harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. There are so many people who are sick. And the more of us who are singing this song of hope, the bigger the chance it is that somebody who is sick is going to hear this. So if you hear this and you want to be part of our chorus of taking the message of hope to people, you want to join our team, please get with whoever invited you because we want to work with you. Dr. Tiffany, I will hand it over to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. Dieter. Thanks, Keith and Benita and Andrea. And these are just little pieces of our stories, right? Of the community. Unfortunately, 20 years ago, I had to lose my father who didn't want to take all these medications. I had to get one of those calls like Keith's daughter got while I was sitting in medical school and had to be awakened in the middle of the night and to hear my father was not going to be able to see me cross that medical school stage. He wasn't going to see me get my degree. He wasn't. He didn't want to take any medications. He wanted to do things natural. I didn't know what to tell him. But I'm in medical school trying to help other people, and I couldn't help my own father. And so here I am now, 20 years later, with a solution that Dr. Dieter so eloquently explained. And we have all these testimonials and so many more of people who have great stories. And it becomes, I can't be quiet. I can't be quiet. That's why I'm on 10. That's why I speak so fast. Okay, yeah, I don't speak fast. You just listen slow. Because if you can't catch up to what I'm saying, you are missing it. There are too many people dying. 93% of Americans are thinking they're healthy and they are not. And that's why we have so many of these issues. So if you know that you are somebody heading to that hospital bed, you aren't taking your medications or you're taking them and they are not making the changes like you want to make, you don't feel good. You're getting side effects from those drugs and you don't want to leave your family member. Like Dr. Keith, like Keith's daughter thought that she was going to lose her dad. Like I lost my dad. You don't want to leave your family member. And somebody invited you on this call. Yes, now is the time. Now is the time. And if you even know someone that you know is struggling, how can you sit on this? How can you not share this? I believe there's two people in this world. There's people that hear this information and they sit on it. Oh, I'm not going to tell anybody. And then there's people who take action. So nobody's going to come save you and your health. That's you. That's on you. Bring a knife to the fist fight. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm not playing anymore. We want people to get their lives back. So thank you so much, Dr. Dieter. And thanks so much for all of you that joined this call. I enjoyed this call so much. This is why this is so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you and good night. And the last thing I'll say is we're doing this call again tomorrow at the same time. So if there's somebody who you would have wished would have been on this call tonight and could not make it to this call, invite them tomorrow. Same time, same link. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.